that being Mayor de Blasio, is putting that to the side, and it seems as if he's at the forefront for the agenda of these protesters. I shouldn't even say they're protesters, they're rioters.
Not protesters. These are not, yes, thank you.
They're rioters, they're engaging in riotous behavior, which is a complete sense of lawlessness. Policy should be dictated from one police plaza, not from City Hall, in connection with police procedures. We need that robust force to toe the line, because you got to understand, those store owners have just as much rights as the people that come out to protest. However, the people that own these commercial properties are now having their rights placed on the shelf, and it's unfortunate. But in de Blasio's defense, we knew that he was incompetent when he came into office. Yeah. So merely what he's doing, he's just displaying his poor skill set, and as a result, we as New Yorkers are suffering as a result.
Yeah, well, you get the leadership you pay for and you vote for. Vote for,
absolutely.
And Chris, I want to play this for all three of you, but this is how de Blasio decided to approach the situation. Watch and listen closely.
We do not want riot gear. We do not want a large number of police officers. Are we trying to get to the day where it looks very different and when there's a protest, and the amount of police, the look of the police, the approach of the police? Absolutely. And I think we were doing that in many ways. Recent protests I've been at, like the climate strike, the police presence was very, very subdued.
Subdued. Chris Swecker, do we want to hand bouquets of roses and lilies to the people who are destroying what many people have worked their entire lives for, including a lot of immigrants, new immigrants to the United States who decided to come and make a new life in New York, as hard as it is?
He's more dangerous than the rioters, Laura. I mean, that kind of leadership is, at best, it's naive. At worst, it's just deliberate sabotage of your own city. I mean, you have to understand, he has to understand the composition of these crowds. It isn't just protesters. There are some legitimate protesters. There are some bystanders. But it's also Antifa, it's anarchists, it's criminals, it's criminal organizations, it's everything. It's a cocktail. And you have to deal with that accordingly. And it's no longer a protest. It has become a lawlessness that you have to deal with. You have to set boundaries. You have to use you have to use force sometimes. You may have to use gas, but mainly to be proactive. And I just don't, these civilian leaders are not enabling the police departments to do what they need to do. That's an incredibly dangerous attitude towards the whole thing.
Well, Jim, we're looking now at our nation's capital, where a loud explosion was heard near a Sherman-Williams paint store. I know exactly where that is, in the northwest part of the city. Fox's Kevin Corke is on the streets of D.C. right now. Kevin, I know exactly where you are. What can you tell us?
Hey, come on up.
Kevin, are you there?
Let me just tell you this, Laura. It's a very interesting, I'm right here with you, very interesting circumstance. You can probably hear, let me take off this mask for a second. You can probably hear the Helos are around. They are literally flying all over us. And part of the situation is there was a peaceful protest march that kind of wound its way through the northern part of downtown Washington, up near an area called Columbia Heights, actually not too far from DuPont Circle. They then circled back around, and they've made their way all the way down here, almost close to the Capitol. But there was some window breaking along the way and some other sort of assorted vandalism, and now we have seen a very strong show of force. We have Helos up above, we have police staging here, a block that way and another block that way toward the Capitol, as they try to basically cordon off the number of places that they can go. And now they're asking us to move. Across the street? You got it, guys. Thank you very much. Thank you, guys. So they're going to have us move across the street. We're not terribly far from the Bureau, believe it or not, Laura. So we're very familiar with this area. It's usually very quiet this time of night. But tonight we've seen protesters, and we're hoping that they will not cause any more damage. Along the way, we saw a number of buildings hit along 7th Street. They were throwing these big, heavy rocks, and they were going right through windows of businesses. Wanton destruction for no reason whatsoever. Laura?
Well, Kevin, there's a curfew. What happened to enforcing the curfew at 7 o'clock? I mean, whether you're walking peacefully or not, you're supposed to be off the street. So there's just a willful disregard of the mayor, Mayor Muriel Bowser's order, and the president couldn't have made it clearer. Everybody needs to go home, take a breath, and George Floyd's family said that. Basically, take a breath, and everybody's got to take a chill pill basically and try to just calm down here. But it's not happening. Kevin, we'll check.
Like that
yeah, go ahead.
For a while, but we'll see what happens later. I was just going to say really quickly, there were a number of arrests earlier. You thought that would sort of give people the message, but they're obviously back out here in force here tonight. I'll give you more as we get more, Laura. Back to you.
Okay. You say stay safe, Kevin. And first, the media, they pretended that despite all of the looting and the destruction, that the riots were really just peaceful protests. They continued that on and on and on. Now they're moving on to their next hoax.
Investigators are looking into whether white supremacists and far-right groups are involved.
They're seeing elements of white supremacists that are also helping fuel this.
We have seen things like white supremacist organizers who have posted things on platforms about coming to Minnesota.
I mean, that is the worst, most obvious, pathetic gaslighting I've seen in some time. So these are the same deranged minds, by the way, that brought you Russian collusion, okay? The media, they're really just covering for the radical groups that are behind much of this destruction and mayhem, Antifa. Now, my next guest says the president is absolutely right. Should have happened a long time ago.